Aloha, travellers. This is Shirley Ann for the Travellers Ukulele Gig Guide podcast, where we talk to people about ukulele and travel. Today, we are heading down south from Cairns to Melbourne. We are going to the Big Smoke, and not just Melbourne. We're going to skip past Swanston Street and head on down south towards Ballarat, because there's somebody very interesting in Ballarat. Folks, could I introduce our guest to you today? It's Darren Holland. Hi, Darren.
Hi, Shirley Ann. Hello, everyone. I'm quite chuffed that you think I'm interesting, Shirley Ann. Thank you for that.
It's the ukulele that does it, Darren.
Of course.
Darren, for this podcast, we talk to people about travel and ukulele. So please, could you just set a little scene for us? Could you tell us where you live?
Well, where I live now is in a suburb a bit south of Ballarat called Mount Helen. It's what you, I guess, call a rural outskirts suburb. So looking out my window now, it's a state forest across the road from me. That's a lovely place to be. Certainly on days with not extreme fire danger, like we've had in the last couple of days, but beautiful outlook and a really nice place to live.
Beautiful. Peaceful, is it?
Very peaceful.
Yeah, great. Conducive to creative arts, I think.
And extended practice sessions and all those sort of things.
Okay, well, that might come in handy. And were you born in Ballarat, Darren?
Well, no. And there could be a very long story behind that, so I'll give you the abridged version. I was born in New Zealand, just south of Auckland, at a place called, yes, I'm a Kiwi and an Aussie, place just south of Auckland that people might know, in the as I'm told by my mother, in the shadow of the Dominion Brewery, a place called Aloha. Yeah, probably been there. I know you can see it as you drive down the highway. My parents were Australian. Well, came back to Australia, and I spent most of my formative years growing up in Brisbane, southeast Queensland, as did my wife. And so for us, southeast Queensland is home in the heart. But we've been in Ballarat now for just under 20 years, and there's a lot of heart connection to this place as well.
Beautiful. Okay, well, like so many of us, we're Mozzies, are we?
Yes.
Yes. Started somewhere and ended up somewhere else, and we're happy to be where we are in the present moment. Darren, when visitors come, regardless of where they come from, across the ditch, overseas, around the country, what do you recommend they go and see in Ballarat?
Well, Ballarat's an old colonial town sitting on a lot of even older Indigenous heritage. So there's a lot of things of that nature to see around our community. But putting the tongue firmly in the cheek, there's sort of three things people say about Ballarat, and that's it's old, it's cold, and it's got gold. So we've got the Eureka Stockade, we've got colonial architecture, we've got Sovereign Hill, which is a big museum of what it was like in the goldfields at that time. And in the depths of winter, we sometimes get snow, which can be a real treat when you look out the window and there's a nice white blanket out there melting. So there's lots of interesting things to see around town, and really for a visitor, they can take their pick of a whole smorgasbord of stuff to have a look at.
Fantastic. A lot of our demographic who are listening to this podcast are in the grey nomad demographic. They've got their little or large mobile homes or caravans.
Enormous.
What about you, Darren? Are you in that demographic yet? Are you a travelling grey nomad?
Not quite. I've still got a few bits of colour left in my hair, and not quite at retirement age. So we haven't quite graduated to the RV or the large van to tow, but we do travel a bit, and particularly before the pandemic, we travelled quite a lot to ukulele events. Just thinking off the top of my head, up to Deniliquin for the Denny Uke muster, not the Ute muster. We've been to Spruik in Brisbane. We've been to Scuff on the Sunshine Coast a couple of times. Ukulele, the Hills Festival over on the other side of Melbourne, and of course our own Melbourne Ukulele Festival. So we've got around a bit thanks to the ukulele. Never mind, our ordinary travelling, but when we do travel, and we are not staying in accommodation, we tend to drive, and we pack our our tent into our little car and our bits and pieces, and off we go, and we have a good time with all the campers and all the travellers that you find in those kind of events.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, now, Darren, are you aware of our Facebook page, the Travellers Ukulele Gig Guide, which is a bit of a one-stop shop for people travelling around looking to connect with other people who play ukulele? Are you aware of it?
Oh, I am aware. I stalk it regularly
Mm.
and share the odd gig or event. You've probably noticed, and as have other people, I've been actively sharing stuff about the upcoming festival in Melbourne. Would be delighted to see people come there. Um, Not much room to park the van though, so it's something people need to be aware of.
Yes, absolutely, because we're in the big smoke, travellers. We're travelling down to Melbourne, where all the accommodation is like this in a little row. I used to be a nurse down there in those parts. Northcote, I think the festival is in. But we're going to circle around to that a little bit later on. Hey, Darren,
Oh,
how did you start playing ukulele?
well, that could be a long story too, but I'll abridge it and say I was press gang.
Oh,
I was press ganged by my wife, who herself became interested in ukulele, and she said to me, "Why don't you buy a ukulele for me for Christmas one year? That would be lovely." So I dutifully went to the music shop and said, I want something that's not too terrible and not too expensive. And the guy dutifully gave me this thing. He said, "You want to play it?" I said, "I have no idea what to do." He said, "Well, look, this is a reasonable beginner's instrument." So I got that, brought it home, and Lisa was duly excited by that, and she began her ukulele journey with a local group here in Ballarat. Then strange things started to happen. She started to drag me along. And sometimes she would say, "Well, why don't you have a go? And by the way, I brought this other ukulele with me. Here, have it and use that." And it's like, oh, I feel a bit trapped here. But must have been 2018, I think it was, a couple of years before everything went to pieces. Uh, uh, she decided she'd like to try out some ukulele festivals. And I think the first one we went to was Deniliquin, and maybe that was the end of 2017. And while Lisa did her thing, I drove around being the tourist with the kids and kind of got on with our life. But then we went to Scuff early in the next year, and I said, "Oh, well, I'll just do other stuff while you do your thing." She said, "No, no, 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 you must. You must participate in this." And I thought, "Oh, okay, I've been told." So we turned up to Scuff, and for those of you who've been, the big top and all the tents and the caravans and all the community going on, it was a really interesting place to be. And it was impossible in that kind of environment not to be uh, drawn into the social aspect of the instrument. So by that time, Lisa had given me one of her cast-offs, and I'm playing that and you know figuring out the chords, and as people do when they're a beginner, and starting to have some fun and starting to sing. And I thought, well, this is not too bad. Maybe I'll carry that on when we get home. And after that feeling of fretting for a weekend, and that your fingers are going, "Oh, do I have any feeling left in the fingertips?" I got over that and thought, well, this is not too bad. And kind of that's the long, short story of how I got into ukulele. So um, we then attended the local group in Ballarat, and later on we started looking a bit further afield, and that's where we got involved in the Melbourne ukulele scene. And that drew us to MUK, the Melbourne Ukulele Collective, who was instrumental in founding MUF, the Melbourne Ukulele Festival. And there's another whole story behind that, but that's how we both got involved in running MUF. And I'm the president of that association, and Lisa's the creative director, and I've got another half a dozen or so people that help us deliver on that festival.
okay, well, we are just arriving. I mean, that's a lovely segue into speaking into that festival. Travellers, I just want to check in here. So, Darren, cajoled by his wife, asked to buy a ukulele for her for Christmas, so much better than a leaf blower or a lawnmower. So off he goes, he gets a ukulele, but over time is enticed and invited, continually invited to participate until neck minute. There he is. He is committed and he didn't even know it was happening. Is that, is that true to
Ironically,
say?
it was in a way, and ironically, I'm still playing Lisa's cast-off instruments.
Does she have that many?
She has a few. She's
Mm.
now playing a mate on concert, and you might see it later, but I'm playing a Carla concert, which she purchased a couple of years ago, but decided she likes the Maton better. And well,
Each
got
to
to do
her
something with
own.
each to their own.
That's
Yes.
right. Now, I just want to also pick up on a point that you spoke to a minute ago, and you said, "Oh, the singing. Are you a good singer?"
I'm an okay singer. I'm an untrained singer, uh, but I can hold a note most of the time. That's
You
how
can
I
hold the
describe
melody down, can you?
it. Most of the time.
Fantastic.
Occasionally, odd nudge, and but you pay attention to that and listen to the pitch, and away you go.
Well, that's
But
excellent.
that's
We
kind of my
always
music
need
history.
good singers.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And do you have a musical background? You're talking words like pitch. Do you have a musical background?
Well, like many people, I was tortured in primary school by the recorder
Oh,
and dabbled in the violin and dabbled in the piano and probably didn't get my head around scales and music theory in the way my teachers would have liked and quite disengaged from it. But my family has a bit of a musical history through particularly my grandparents and my great grandfather, who was a bandsman in the British Army.
oh,
So we've got all sorts of interesting, and he played it. He was one of these people who can play everything. There's pictures of him playing cellos and violins and piano accordions and who knows what else. So amazingly talented guy, obviously. So yeah, somewhere in there is a bit of DNA or blood that links music back through the history of our family.
mm, fantastic. Okay, all right. Well, I think it's time. I think it's time to unwrap the bundle that is the Melbourne Ukulele Festival. Darren, you've just shared with us that you are the current president. Is that correct?
Associate President, yes.
Yes. And Lisa, your wife, is the creative director. Is that correct? Well, I trust you to tell us the truth because, of course, she's not here and she was invited to pop up, wasn't she? But I'm glad that you're here anyway. We welcome you. Now, um, you also mentioned muck. So, muck is different from muff. Can you tell us in a couple of minutes what is muck? And can you then swing us round to this year's muff?
So explaining muck is easy. We're a performance orientated community group. We like to describe ourselves as a bunch of eclectic ukulele musicians armed with nothing more than four strings and the truth.
Good. Okay.
You join muck by turning up and you're in the band.
Oh, wonderful.
The audition process, in fact, we had a new person turn up Wednesday night at rehearsal and they said, oh, do I need to audition? It's like, oh, well, you already have. You're here. Let's get on with it. So we're an open group. What we do, though, is focus on stagecraft and presentation and really putting on a show. So we are quite different from a lot of other community groups around the country. And people can follow us on Facebook and check out some of our social media and just see what that looks like when we're on stage having a good time, which is really what it's all about.
Mm,
We're all there for fun, not there to work hard. We might work hard, but we work hard so we can have fun.
mm. Oh, Darren, that's a great point that you raise, and I think it's really valid for travellers as well. Is that there are so many different permutations of ukulele groups. And it depends on the leadership or the core of the group as to what it's delivering into community. So I love that. No need to audition, just be here. Get ready to learn how to have fun on stage and perform. Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, you have a lot of fun. It can be a
Uh,
bit
so,
intimidating, but when you say, well, you've got to dress up, and by the way, there's no music scan, and you need to know it off by heart, and we're playing in the key of B flat today, but that's all part of the journey.
ooh, there's a few key rippers inside that little comment there. Um, Darren, when does Muck meet?
So we rehearse every Wednesday night from around about 7, maybe 6:30ish to around about 9 o'clock
Mm.
in Fleming Park Hall in Brunswick.
Oh, okay.
It's which is right next to Northcote, and that's sort of the spiritual home of Muck, and thus the spiritual home of Muff.
Okay, all right. So, travellers, did you catch that? I'll make sure to pop it in the description or in the show notes. Flemington,
Fleming Park.
Fleming Park Hall, Brunswick.
And it is in the group guide on your Facebook group if people want to look us up.
Great answer, Darren. Okay, please, I can't stand it any longer. Can you talk to us about this year's MUF? What's in, what's hot, what's not, what are we going to see?
Well, at this year's MUF, we've got over 110 different performances going on over the weekend, so there's a lot to choose from. I was just writing something up about that last night, across 8 different venues, including some very special venues that we'll be using for the first time. 13 workshops, international performers coming in, some from some really interesting places. Ironically, we've got 2 headliners from Queensland coming down this year. Vic Kenner, who's well known, hasn't played in Melbourne before, so this is a first. Vic is very well known, though, around southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales. Absolute brilliant guy, lovely person to talk to as well. And on Saturday night at that concert, we'll have Gypsy Rumble, who are from the northern and western suburbs of Brisbane, where, ironically, we used to come from, coming back. Now, they played at MUF in 2020, literally days before things started slamming shut. And they had the audience up and everyone got to meet Hank and become familiar with him. Just think about that, listeners, and maybe do some research on Gypsy Rumble. Buy a T-shirt. And they will have the hall absolutely pumping. So there are 2 headliners, supported by some really interesting acts. Muck will be playing on the Saturday night, a group called Baby Shower, a couple of young women from the Northcote, Brunswick area. They'll be playing in a punk mode on the Saturday night as well. We've got some workshop people being showcased on Friday night. And overall, it should be a great 2 nights of concerts, plus the days, plus the workshops, plus marketplace, informal jamming, and a big wind down at a venue called the Wesleyan, which Melburnians will know, on the Sunday night, where it's really just get up on stage and have a big party.
You know, this sounds so good. I feel like I should have one of those gongs. Bong, bong, bong. And yet there's more, there's more, there's more. So that sounds fantastic. Look, I am familiar with some of the acts. And I think the wonderful thing about festivals is that all of the talent is moshed pit in. So you have the diversity there to go out and to explore. So I'm going down there to spend a couple of days for professional development, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've got my little program all sorted out, so I cannot wait. I suppose I better buy some tickets. I'll get on to that, because you can buy tickets for these events, can't you, Darren?
You can, of course, through the and people can find them. As I said, there's a few posts that I've shared to the Travellers Ukulele Gig Guide. You can find a MUF Facebook page. There's a MUF website, and on those places you'll find links to the ticketing. They can be purchased on the day, but it's a lot easier if you buy your tickets in advance.
That is true, and there's an overall pass for $150, which gets you most places. But I think it's good to clarify, travellers, if you're floating through the workshops. There are going to be some free workshops, mainly on the Sunday, but on the Saturday, the workshops are going to be ticketed, so that would need to be a separate purchase. Is that correct, Darren?
In those Sunday workshops are included either in the full MUF pass or in the Sunday day pass. Patrons attending on that Sunday will get a choice of 3 out of 5 workshops. A couple are on at the same time. And they cover everything from literally beginning your journey to the ukulele through to, I think there's a music theory workshop and advanced strumming and all the normal sort of things you would expect on a festival.
Marvellous. It sounds marvellous. Okay, this is great. Is there anything else, any caution? Is there any caution you would like to give to the travellers about the festival?
what's the best caution to give to someone who doesn't know Northcote? And ironically, it comes back to parking.
Oh, yes.
Parking is fairly restrictive in a peri-central area of Melbourne, at least up to 1 o'clock on Saturdays. So people just need to be aware to watch the signs and find places where they can park if they intend to come by car. After 1 o'clock on Saturday and through Sunday, parking's unrestricted and is much easier. But being Melbourne, it's right on a tram line. So if people are staying further up north or closer to the CBD, it's very easy to jump on the 86 tram. And there's even an 86 tram festival that was on earlier this year. Come up from the CBD, come down from the north, hop off in the centre of High Street in Northcote and be part of MUF.
Ding, 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 ding. That's my tram bell. Number 86, travellers all aboard. That's going aboard. It's a wonderful thing about Melbourne, really. The traffic just goes in this one direction, up and down. Get on a tram and find tram 86 and get off at Northcote and follow the people milling around a few venues with big black cases that look like violins, but we know they're not.
Yes. And that is something you see all these people with ukulele cases walking up and down the street in amongst the normal folk who are there for their shopping duties. And it really adds it adds a Melbourne vibe to the music.
A Melbourne vibe. There you go, travellers. That's something to look forward to. Okay, my friend. Well, you know what? I want to just sort of swing around to you, unless, of course, there's anything else you'd like to add about the festival at this point.
I'd only say for anyone listening, if you haven't been to MUF, make this your first because MUF is a bit Melbourne. It's a little bit different, but it's an absolutely great ukulele festival.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a lovely invitation, travellers. This is the Melbourne Ukulele Festival on March 15th, 16th, and 17th, 2004. Totally hosted on High Street, Northcote, Melbourne. Is that correct? Fantastic. And when does all the frivolity start? Is it just Friday night or Friday morning or Friday lunchtime? And where is the hub? Where do we all check in?
Well, so I'll start with the hub. The hub will be located in a place called the Chalice Uniting Church. So church hall, forecourt, street stage, all those kind of things. And people who have come to the festival before will know that. There's a map on the festival website for people who may not have been there before, but that's literally step off the tram and you're there. All of the other venues are within about 100 to 150 metres of that. Most of them are quite close. So very easy to find, very easy to get around. When does it all kick off? Well, I should say, for those of you who volunteer, and volunteering does bring with it free tickets to days of the festival. There is a Thursday night kick-off with the volunteers where we do a bit of a induction and have some food and play a few tunes. But for everyone else, there's a workshop being run on Friday by Ortler, the Australian Ukulele Teachers and Leaders Association, Friday afternoon. So that's really the first event of the festival proper. And then the big kick-off is the Friday night concert. And then we're all into it, all through Friday night, all through Saturday night, and Sunday right through until when people fall asleep, which last year was very close to midnight in the Wesleyan on Sunday night after a brilliant weekend of music.
Fantastic. Okay, well, travellers, if there's anybody listening in and you would like to participate in the festival, and perhaps there might be some little bit of access barrier, you might consider volunteering. Volunteering will get you a seat at the table, so to speak. Is that fair to say, Darren?
And it depends how long you volunteer for. So for the minimum, we ask people to volunteer for 3 hours, and that gets you a day pass. If you volunteer for longer, the value of the pass goes up, so people can weigh up their choices that way.
That's fantastic. That is really good. Darren, I'd just love to say on behalf of the Travellers Ukulele Gig Guide membership, good luck. with the
Thank you very
festival
much.
this year, to you and the team and to Lisa. And we look forward to the marvellous event. Lots of photos, great learning, listening, music, and more to come in the future. So thanks very much for your work.
We look forward to seeing people at the festival because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, very good, very good. All right, Darren, I think we are just about ready to wind up, and I want to ask just a couple of things. First of all, number one, what is your favourite song to play on ukulele? Number two, what is your big ukulele dream? And number three, do you think you would like to sing for us today? There you go. That's three things. That's not a couple of things,
Three
but
things.
that's how I roll.
It's three things. Um, uh, well, we might have a go at a song. So we'll tick that one off. We might have a go at a song. Uh, what's my big ukulele dream? Gee, thinking hard about that one. Um, it, it, I'm thinking hard about that because uh, Muck, the band we play in, we were selected to be an act at the National Folk Festival last year. So, you know, we were in the booklet and we're up in Canberra having a great 4 days there. That was pretty much what I would call the peak of my ukulele experience to date. Looking forward, we've got to find something that's going to top that. But I love performing and I love being with a group of people who are committed to performing. So we'll see where that takes us. Sorry, that doesn't really answer the question, but it gives you a bit of an insight. It also allows me to lead into the answering your first question. What song is my favourite to play? I don't really have a favourite song. I kind of cycle through a set of songs that I enjoy playing, but they do tend towards the folky, country, folky, rocky style of song. That's me and that's the stuff I like.
Okay, fantastic. Do you have one of those folky, country, funky, rocky songs up your sleeve to sing for us today?
I might be able to knock one out I've been working on.
Okay.
The it might, there might be a little bit of a pitching issue, but I think it'll be acceptable to most of the audience.
All
Uh,
right, that's
just,
lovely. We appreciate
just
it. Travellers,
listening.
could I just suggest that we're on Wi-Fi. So if Darren, I'm assuming you've got your original sound turned on for Zoom. I know I have, and so I hope this recording finds us all well. Okay, Darren Holland, singing a song he's just thought of to play for us.
And this one's actually quite appropriate for travellers. It's a waifs song, so one of Australia's preeminent folk groups. Um, Title's a bit of a mystery. It's called When I Die,
Mm.
but it's all about travelling and travelling home. So, When I Die by the Waifs, or a segment of it anyway. When I die, won't you bury me in the town where I was born? Most of my life I've been rambling free, and when I die, I want to go back home. Ever since I was a baby child, I knew I was born to roam. I had to climb to the top of the hill just to see what lay beyond. And seasons change, I'm still the same, I don't belong to anyone. But a piece of me will always be sitting in my hometown sun. When I die, won't you bury me in the town where I was born? I spent my whole life traveling free, and when I die, I want to go back home. When I die, I want to go back home. How's that?
Yay! Thank you so much. Yay! That's jazz hands to the screen. Darren, that came through really clearly. So fantastic.
Beautifully. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, I think we've come to the end of our conversation today. Just before we wind up and say aloha, which is hello and goodbye in Hawaiian,
Everything else.
do you have any words, last pearl of wisdom for the travellers?
Ukulele is a fantastic community. It builds social connections, it builds musical competency, and that builds social connections. And I think we should always remember how privileged we are to be part of a musical community that is so welcome and so supporting, and it opens so many other doors.
Fantastic. That's a very beautiful sentiment. Darren, thank you so much for your time, for the work that you're currently doing, but also for speaking to us today about your own journey and where you are currently working in community in ukulele. Travellers, this is Shirley Ann for the Travellers Ukulele Gig Guide podcast, and on that very lovely note, I say aloha, thanks to Darren, and goodbye and safe travels to you until we meet again. Aloha, Darren.
Aloha, safe travels, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yay! You did it! Yay! Fantastic! Well done. You know what? I think that went very, very smoothly.
Good. I thought after I did the Australian ballad yesterday, hang on, actually I know another song that actually fits a lot better because it is about travelling.
That's right. It's fantastic. Well, you did very well, and that was lovely. Okay, well, thank you very much. Next steps will be I will edit this and it will go to air the week before the festival. So I think it's your festival is on the 15th, so it might even be something like Wednesday the 9th, which is
cool.
Coming up very soon.
Yep, cool. And we'll look forward to actually seeing you in person.
Oh, yes, okay. Darren, thank you very much. All the best and have a great day.
All right, see you, Shirley. Bye.
You too, bye. Oh, wait. Thanks for listening, travellers. Don't forget to subscribe, follow or click notifications on your preferred platform so you don't miss a yarn. We're posting a new episode every Wednesday morning because it's a great hump day, pick-me-up kind of a podcast. Thanks for listening. This is Shirley Ann. Aloha.